Hello, guys. This is October 2nd, 2025. It's Harrison. I'm going to start, you know, recording myself talking really briefly daily just to sort of keep myself accountable in what I want to do. And it'll also be sort of like a thing to look back on um, in the future when, when I need to just sort of reminisce on things. Hopefully, I'll be successful. Um, gonna upload these just because you know it'll again be like a public record slash log. I feel like putting myself out there on video is, personally something that makes me a little bit scared or anxious or embarrassed. And I don't think anyone's gonna watch it, but I think it'll be nice to sort of like have just for myself. So, the first thing I want to talk about today is just about the sort of a failure in terms of progress that I've been making over the past 3 weeks on working on, this app. Um, I'm making an app, an iOS app. I've been working on it definitely pretty seriously for the past 3.5 months, but for the past 3 weeks or so, there's been a lot of, I wouldn't say like roadblocks, given that um, they shouldn't really be fully blocking in terms of getting myself to do something. They're more like context switches, and I think I let the context switches derail my progress a little bit too heavily, essentially. Um, so yeah, I guess for the past 2.5 weeks, 3 weeks in particular, did like a work trial somewhere. Decided not to join that company. Um, had a couple on sites interviews and a couple other interview loops. Um, you know, I actually got rejected from those two. Um, kind of a little bit disheartening, but I mean, really, I think the thing that I've mentally committed to, and something that probably just me needing to get over my ego, is that those other things literally did not matter for the way I've lined up my life in terms of what I want to do. I really want to go all in on this app, and those things shouldn't affect me. So, me not doing well in those means that I probably should have had much less emotional attachment to the results of those interviews, as well as being able to do context switch after doing those interviews should have been much easier. And context switching to sort of be more productive on the um, thing that I'm working on, the app. So yeah, that's how I feel. That was like maybe a week and a half ago. Then for this past week or so, I definitely haven't done anything. Um, First couple days, you know, did some, just the weekend, typical weekend stuff when someone's my friend's birthday. Hung out, went to the gym, stuff like that. Spent some time, decompressing. Although I've been sort of decompressing a lot recently, but did that, and then I got fucking sick. Right, dude, it's such a bummer. Getting sick sucks. It sucks awfully, and so I got sick. I currently still have a bit of the cold, and I guess I've used that as an excuse to basically not do too much over the past few days, which again feels like kind of just an excuse that I'm giving myself to fuck around and stay dopamine addicted and short-term validation addicted, because I definitely, while I don't feel great, I definitely could have done a lot more over the past few days. Um, you know, Monday through today, which is Thursday, October 2nd. And yeah, I mean, like, that's pretty disappointing for myself that I've not really been able to push through sort of like, levels of hardship that are honestly just like very minimal. I should be able to grind, like at least 8-9 hours on these days, especially given, how mentally less taxing things are, um, with, programming with AI agents. Um, but I just haven't been able to. Some of it's my motivation, but some of it's my, you know, being sick. But I think it really shouldn't be dependent on those things, and it should just be discipline keeping me working on this, because I've been sandbagging this, thing that would allow us to start marketing and push another release to the App Store for the past 2.5 weeks, and it just doesn't feel great to sort of just keep fucking doom scrolling, like watching YouTube video, etc., and not getting that thing done, even if, I have lower energy and I'm sick right now. So that's what I'm here to say today. Is my current emotional state and current mental state is that, damn, I've been a fucking loser the past 2.5 weeks or so, especially the past week. Even though I've been sick, there's really no excuse here, because once things unlock and there are signs of things happening, in the way that I want them to, then, that should sort of like pause momentum, should really start carrying myself and the app forward. But um, really, I think the underlying internal sort of like conflict I have about this, like, sort of like knowing that this is what I want to do, but also um, letting other things that aren't in the same direction, in completely opposite directions, like affect the way I think and the way I operate day to day, is sort of just an underlying like ego thing, I think. It's an underlying low motivation, being lazy, ego thing that I just need to fix. So this is one of those, hopefully a potential mitigation. Hopefully there's a little bit of um, accountability that I can uh, bring to the table, or that these videos bring to the table, that would make me feel more accountable in terms of doing what I need to do in terms of development. And I will sort of film these daily until I feel like they've served their purpose. And oh, this is another thing: is posting it publicly. Is even if there's no one that sees it, if there's anyone that ever sees it in the future, and then it turns out like I have this fucking series of me posting these like for 3 months, and then it turns out I bitch out or whatever, then uh, you know that should affect my ego too, right? Like, um, not sort of like getting stuff done, and it would be deeply embarrassing for me to know that at least one person in the world has watched my series of videos, and then at the end I just sort of bitch out. So that's pretty much all I want to say today. Um, I'm going to definitely get stuff done now for the rest of the day. I actually have been a little bit productive, at least today, um, which is low fucking bar, but like um, okay, for that individually, I can say I felt pretty shitty yesterday, uh, from being sick, but yeah, just wanted to say that. Um, yeah, I guess the other small things that I wanted to say, and I've been having some discussion with some other friends that are, engineers and stuff like that, is that like, dude, this AI shit is like kind of like I don't know. In particular for me, it feels really weird because I feel like I was in a position to potentially, at least work my way over towards um, pretty neat, AI stuff. But I went very hard. By the way, my hair looks like this because I got a little hairband in right now. Um, yeah, I was in a position to, and returned to company I previously worked at. I had the opportunity to, definitely try to get my way into, the teams that work very closely with training large language models. And, just like in terms of like technical knowledge, I would have been able to continue to build on that and really, you know, work on that in a diligent manner with some really smart people. Um, in retrospect, maybe it wasn't the best. Maybe it wasn't the worst, given that, you know, this company hasn't done super well in terms of training their language models. But domain knowledge, in particular, um, feels very useful, and especially because, like, obviously it's useful. Like being an engineer that has worked on training a very large model is like one out of like 10,000 people maybe in the world that has the resources to have worked on those things. And obviously, the domain knowledge there makes your skills worth a shit ton of money. But the way that I sort of like need to rationalize this. The other thing is like, you know, foregoing that in favor of like working on consumer mobile apps, let alone Android, is like kind of a crazy minus EV play. like holy shit, dude, Android is so not useful for me, especially because if I did interview for new jobs, I'm pretty sure people silo me. At least I have a hunch about that. But yeah, I guess the way that I need to rationalize it is just that, like, there's stuff that is outside of the domain that is still very useful, um, that is nascent, stable coins, for example, um, that my skills are valuable in, because ultimately things do need to accrue back to the consumer, um, and you need to drive value for the end user. Um, but, you know, it feels like every small company these days cares about web, cares about, AI stuff. And I think I could have had a lot more experience in that. Um, at least I'm good at, discerning whether or not an interface is nice looking or not, or feels good to use. Um, but I don't know if I learned that on the job. I think I learned vocabulary on the job. I think those skills are kind of innate, just like how to relate to it with you know them. You have a higher baseline for them if you have empathy, essentially. But I digress. I think I've talked enough for today. Um, I really should at least polish this details page. I think it's definitely doable tonight. Um, also want to go to bed at a reasonable hour, just so I recover my sickness faster. But yeah, this is the first video. I'll have more videos. They will not be nearly as long as this one, just because this is the first one. I sort of laid out all my current, you know, stream of consciousness into this video. The other updates are not going to be as long, and they'll probably be a little bit more structured. I will have stuff to talk about, or like write it down in my notes app or whatever, and figure out what to talk about. But yeah, Jesus Christ, this hairband is funny. Anyways, if you've listened to this, thanks for listening. If you haven't listened to it, whatever. This is for me, not for anyone else. And yeah, see you in the next video.